Now let's take a look at this question. GnRH is secreted by dash and it stimulates anterior pituitary to release dash. In the options, we have hypothalamus oxytocin, hypothalamus FSH and LH, posterior pituitary FSH and LH, hypothalamus vasopressin. So in order to answer this question, in the first blank, we have to find out the name of the endocrine gland which produces the hormone GnRH. And in the second blank, we have to find out the name of the hormone that is produced by the anterior pituitary when stimulated by the hormone GnRH. Okay, so let's find out. So here GnRH stands for gonadotropin releasing hormone. Now it is a type of releasing hormone that is produced by the hypothalamus. Okay, so hypothalamus is an endocrine gland. It is located in the forebrain region. So hypothalamus produces this hormone that is known as gonadotropin releasing hormone. As the name indicates, it stimulates the release of gonadotropins. Now what are gonadotropins? Gonadotropins are those hormones that will act on the gonads. Which are the gonads? In males, it is the testes, and in females, it is the ovaries. Okay, so the gland that produces GnRH is hypothalamus. So the first blank to our question here is hypothalamus. And in the second blank, we were supposed to give the name of the hormones that the anterior pituitary secretes when it is stimulated by GnRH. Okay, so when GnRH is produced by the hypothalamus, it acts on the anterior lobe of the pituitary. Remember, pituitary gland also is found in the brain, and it has two lobes. There's an anterior lobe and the posterior lobe. So when a GnRH is produced by the hypothalamus, it will stimulate the anterior pituitary to produce gonadotropins, which are FSH and LH. Okay, like I mentioned, these gonadotropins, they act on the gonads. In females, it acts on the ovaries, which are the primary sex organs in females. Okay. So FSH here stands for follicle stimulating hormone. Again, as the name indicates, it's very easy to know its function. So this hormone will act on the ovaries and stimulate the development of follicles. Okay, so the FSH hormone that's produced by the anterior pituitary on stimulation by GnRH will stimulate the growth and development of follicles within the ovary. So here FSH is acting on the ovaries, and within the ovaries it is causing the development of the follicles. You can see this is a follicle. Okay, so that is a fully developed mature follicle, and the development of that is stimulated by FSH. Okay, talking about the second gonadotropin that is produced by the anterior pituitary, I said LH, right? So LH stands for luteinizing hormone. Okay, so this again is produced by the anterior pituitary. This also acts on the ovaries in females, and it has two very important functions here in females. So it induces ovulation. Now what do we mean by ovulation? Ovulation is a process by which the female gamete is released from within the follicle. So here I told you this is a fully developed mature follicle. So within that you will have one stage in the development of the female gamete. So this female gamete along with few other cells will be released from the follicle by the rupturing of the follicle. That process is known as ovulation. Okay, so this LH hormone, this stimulates or induces the process of ovulation to take place. So that is one function. Another thing is, after the follicle ruptures open to release the egg by a process called ovulation, there will be some cells of the follicle that remain within the ovary. See, like these cells here. Now this is known as corpus luteum. Corpus luteum refers to the remnants of the Graafian follicle or the mature follicle after ovulation takes place. Now, corpus luteum is involved in the secretion of a hormone known as progesterone. So, progesterone, I'm sure you know, is also called the pregnancy hormone. So, the LH hormone also stimulates this corpus luteum here to secrete progesterone. So, it maintains corpus luteum. One way to remember that is luteinizing hormone maintains corpus luteum. Okay. So that is the function of LH and FSH in females. Talking about the options vasopressin and oxytocin given in the options, these are not hormones that are produced by the anterior pituitary. Okay, so these hormones vasopressin and oxytocin, they are synthesized. I'll write it here. They are synthesized by the hypothalamus, and they are stored and released by the posterior pituitary. Okay, so these hormones, vasopressin and oxytocin, which were there in the options, they are synthesized by the hypothalamus and they are transported axonally to the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland, and it is stored there and secreted or released by the posterior pituitary lobe. But in the question, we were asked about the hormones that are produced by the anterior lobe of the pituitary. So options that contain vasopressin and oxytocin can be right away eliminated. Now let's look at the question again. GnRH is secreted by dash. It is secreted by the hypothalamus and it stimulates the anterior pituitary to release what? It stimulates the anterior pituitary to release gonadotropins, because GnRH stands for gonadotropin releasing hormone. And which are the gonadotropins? FSH and LH. So the correct answer to this question should be option B. Here's the question. Sperms are transported to vas deferens from vasa efferentia through dash. In the options, we have epididymis, rete testis, urethra, and ejaculatory duct. So in order to answer this question, we must find the name of the structure that is present between the vas deferens and the vasa efferentia. Now, what is the vas deferens and the vasa efferentia? They are both parts of the accessory ducts found in the male reproductive system. Remember, the male reproductive system consists of the testes, there are accessory ducts, and there are accessory glands, right? So both these are part of the accessory ducts that are found in the male reproductive system. So let's take a look at this section of the testis to find out more detail. Okay, so here you're looking at a section of the testis, and within each testis you can find about 200 to 250 compartments being present, and these compartments that are found within the testis, they are known as the testicular lobules. Okay, so within each of these testicular lobules, you can find 1 to 3 highly coiled tubes like these, and these are known as the seminiferous tubules. Now, it is within the seminiferous tubules that the sperms are produced. Okay, so the starting point in the transport of sperms is the seminiferous tubules, because that's where they are produced. So these are the seminiferous tubules. Now, the seminiferous tubules form a network of tubes within the testis that is known as the rete testis. So sperms from the seminiferous tubule, they reach this network of tubes that is known as the rete testis. From the rete testis, they are transported to these tubes that leave the testes, that is known as vasa efferentia. Remember, this was mentioned in the question, right? So vasa efferentia will carry the sperms from the rete testis to a coiled structure which is present at the posterior margin of each testis, known as the epididymis. So from the seminiferous tubule to the rete testis, from the rete testis to the vasa efferentia, and from there it is transported to this epididymis, and the epididymis leads to a muscular tubular structure which is known as the vas deferens. Remember, we were asked to find out the name of the structure that is present between the vasa efferentia and the vas deferens. So the correct answer to this question is epididymis. Okay, so the sperms are transported to vas deferens from vasa efferentia through dash. The correct answer is option A, epididymis. I already told you what rete testis is, which is option B. It is found between the seminiferous tubules and the vasa efferentia, so that is incorrect. Now, I mentioned a muscular tube called the vas deferens being present, right? So that will lead to the urethra, and the vas deferens, it joins with another duct from an accessory gland known as the seminal vesicle to form a common ejaculatory duct. So these are not the correct answers. The correct answer to this question is option A, epididymis. Here's the question. The glandular tissue of each mammary gland is divided into dash. In the options, we have 5 to 10 mammary lobes, 15 to 20 mammary lobes, 23 to 25 mammary lobes, 25 to 30 mammary lobes. So let's find out. First, what are mammary glands? Mammary glands are the characteristic features of mammals, right? So the mammary glands will consist of glandular tissue, and also there will be variable amounts of fat. And the glandular tissue that is found in the mammary glands can be divided into about 15 to 20 mammary lobes. Okay, so these are the mammary lobes. And within the mammary lobes, you can find a cluster of cells that is known as the alveoli. Now, the function of these cells is to secrete milk. Okay, so the mammary glands consist of about 15 to 20 mammary lobes. So the correct answer to this question should be option B. Here's the question. The changes that occur in females during the onset of puberty are, the options have enlargement of breasts, beginning of menstrual cycle, development of a high-pitched voice, and option D, all of the above. So at the onset of puberty in females, various changes will take place and the secondary sexual characters will start developing, and that happens under the influence of sex hormones such as estrogen. Okay, some of the changes include the development of a high-pitched voice, and then there is development of breasts, and also the beginning of menstrual cycle, which in layman terms can be referred to as periods. Okay, so all of these changes do take place on the onset of puberty in females. So the correct answer to this question should be option D, all of the above. Here is an interesting question. The hormone responsible for milk release from mammary glands is produced by dash. In the options, we have corpus luteum, hypothalamus, posterior pituitary, and none of these. So, in order to answer this question, we must first know the name of the hormone that is involved in ejection of milk from the mammary glands, and next we have to find out which gland secretes that hormone. Okay, so the name of the hormone that is involved in ejection of milk after childbirth is oxytocin. So oxytocin is a hormone that is produced by the hypothalamus. Okay, so here you can see this is the hypothalamus region, and hypothalamus produces oxytocin, but it is not released into the bloodstream by the hypothalamus. After oxytocin is produced, the neurons will axonally transport the oxytocin to the posterior lobe of the pituitary, which you can find here. So this is the posterior lobe. Hypothalamus produces oxytocin and transport it axonally to the posterior lobe of the pituitary, where it can be stored and secreted. Okay, so in the question, they have asked us for which gland produces the hormone responsible for release of milk. So the correct answer should be hypothalamus. If only it was asked which gland secretes the hormone into the bloodstream, then it would have been posterior pituitary gland. Okay, so oxytocin is produced by the hypothalamus and stored in the posterior lobe of the pituitary, and oxytocin is involved in ejection of milk. Okay, so in the options we had corpus luteum as well. Corpus luteum refers to the remnants of the follicle in the ovary after ovulation takes place. Corpus luteum is involved in the secretion of a hormone known as progesterone, and it helps, the role of progesterone is to help in maintaining the endometrium, which is the innermost layer in the wall of the uterus, so that implantation can take place. Okay, so that is the function of luteinizing hormone. So corpus luteum is the incorrect answer for this question. Now we already know that the hormone that is responsible for ejection of milk is oxytocin, and it is produced by the hypothalamus. So the correct answer to this question is option B, hypothalamus.